That brings me to my next question. When domestic legal systems are weaponized by governments, the international system is supposed to be a backstop. But what happens when that is ignored? For example, Turkey has repeatedly refused to implement European Court of Human Rights rulings. How should international institutions respond when a state openly defies binding human rights decisions?
Well, I mean, ideally, European governments would be pressuring the Turkish government to abide by the European court rulings. They're not doing that because Erdogan has very successfully positioned himself as important for Europe in other regards, whether it's blocking migrants from going to Europe or negotiating with Putin over Ukraine. There are other factors that European nations are prioritizing. I think it's very short-sighted because if Erdogan is allowed to continue down these autocratic routes, he's going to be a very unreliable ally. Now, the good news is I think the Turkish people are increasingly fed up with Erdogan's autocracy. And, we've seen this because Erdogan, periodically locks up a political challenger whom he deems too threatening. We saw this, last time around with Demirtas, and we see this now with, Ekrem Imamoglu,
Yeah.
where, these are, I mean, Imamoglu in particular was clearly, a very potent political threat. Some poll shows that he would have won the election. The opposition won the local elections, the mayoral elections in the last round. Erdogan, would be in trouble if he allowed a free and fair election to go forward. So he's resorting to steps that completely undermine any notion of a fair democracy. Now, the world sees through this. I mean, if he's moving in the direction of somebody like Putin or Lukashenko in Belarus, where they still hold electoral charades, but nobody pretends that these are legitimate elections, he's going to lose the legitimacy that he seeks. He's going to appear just as a dictator. So he's trying to, balance this. He's trying to have something that looks like a real election, but he's trying to really tilt the playing field. And I think it's important that governments push back and not allow these other concerns to get in the way of their defense of democracy.